it's Sherry from the blog ourlifehomeschooling.com, where I share homeschooling encouragement for everyday moms. I'm excited about today's video. I'm going to be showing an interview that I have with Tiffany, a friend who blogs over at growingdawn.com. I will link that below for those of you who'd like to take a look. Tiffany is a second-generation homeschooler, which I think is really unique when we see someone that has been homeschooled and then decides to make that same decision for their own kids. If you're new to the channel, my name is Sherry. I am a homeschooling mom to 10 kids. We just finished our 13th year of homeschooling this year. I am a former public school teacher turned homeschool mom. I'm married to my high school sweetheart Nelson. We've been married for 22 years. I love encouraging other moms on my YouTube channel and on the blog, ourlifehomeschooling.com. If you like the content that you see here, would you do me a favor and hit that subscribe button? That shows YouTube that this is the kind of content you like. Once a month on the blog, I like to show an interview with an everyday homeschool mom. I ask them questions like what attracted you to homeschooling, and I talk to them about certain topics. If you'd like to head on over to the blog, you can see some of the things that we've done. And then every so often, I share these interviews in a video format on my YouTube channel, and that's what I'm doing today. When I started this channel, I named it Our Life Homeschooling because I wanted to share not only our family's life homeschooling, but I wanted to share our life collectively as homeschoolers, because I think sometimes you just need to see how it looks and how it looks in more than one family to get an idea of how it could work for you. Every family is so different. We all have our own unique styles and ways of learning things. So it's really good to just get a glimpse into the way different people are doing things. When someone has been homeschooled and then decides to make that same decision when they have their own kids, I think it's something that we really need to stop and pay attention to. This interview with Tiffany, she goes into what it was like being homeschooled, what things are the same, what are different. Without any more introduction, here's Tiffany. Hi, Tiffany.
Hi.
Thank you so much for coming on and letting me interview. I'm really excited to hear your story.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me on.
You're welcome. I'm just going to let you go ahead and introduce yourself.
Okay. My name is Tiffany Brewer, and I have a blog called Growing Dawn at growingdawn.com. And I share about homesteading mostly, but a little bit about homeschooling and faith and cooking and just kind of a hodgepodge of things, but all things that I'm passionate about. I'm also a musician, and I'm a mama of 4 boys, ages 10, 8, 6, and 3. And we've been homeschooling all the way through so far. And I was homeschooled myself as well.
Wow. Wow. So, what attracted you to homeschooling initially?
Well, I think in some ways it was kind of like there was no other option for me being homeschooled myself, just because I really enjoyed it and see the value that it brought to my life. But I think what I like about it the most is the time freedom for my kids. And also, of course, being able to shape their worldview, because that's so important in this world. So I love that we have that we're able to instill a biblical worldview in them, and there's not that outside influence from the world as much. So
yeah, I can relate to that for sure. So was there something about your experience being homeschooled that influenced you wanting to homeschool your kids?
yeah, I mean, like I said, I really enjoyed having that time freedom when I was younger. It gave me the ability to work on things that I probably wouldn't have otherwise gotten to do. I don't know, I got to spend a lot of time learning music and learning computer skills and like really honing in on those like more specialized things that I feel like it's kind of hard to find the time to do that, you know?
Yeah.
It's hard to find somebody to, like in public school, it's hard to find somebody to specifically pour into you in those interests. So I really liked that about it.
Yeah. I felt that way definitely with my kids as well. Just I love that they have time to do things that they're interested in, and they have a lot of free time. And it takes time to develop those things. I mean, they need to sometimes just be bored and be sitting around and be, to get curious enough to try things.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how does your homeschool look different from the way you were homeschooled, or maybe it looks very similar? Is there, some differences or some things that you just decided you really wanted to make sure you did the same thing?
Yeah, so there's definitely elements of both. The way that it's the same, I would say, is the values that we're instilling in them is the same as what I felt like was instilled to me, which I think is just a testament to homeschooling being a way of practicing like this biblical idea of passing down wisdom and telling of God's faithfulness in a way that will actually affect generations to come. So, if anything, I feel like Stephen and I have, my husband and I have made growing our kids' faith an even more central part of our homeschooling. Even more so. I mean, I experienced it, but like we're really like focusing on that
Mm.
with them as well. Um, as far as ways that it's different, the homesteading aspect is definitely different because I did not grow up farming at
Mm.
all, and I was actually like very squeamish about like blood and guts, which come to find out is actually like a pretty big part of homesteading.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm really glad that they're getting to experience that, like some of the realities of living off the land at such a young age.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest way that it's different.
Yeah. Now, I was never homeschooled myself. So when I started years ago, it seemed like such a huge learning curve. I really had no idea. I had a background in teaching, and that was pretty much my only experience. And so when I started, it felt so foreign to me. I felt like there were so many things I had to learn and unlearn, even though I had been in the classroom. It's just so different. Um, so do you think that you have some advantages? Were there some advantages to having been homeschooled yourself? Is there any advice to someone that you could give who is maybe just starting out or who has never been homeschooled themselves, like I was?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I literally don't know any other way because I was homeschooled all the way through 12th grade. Like I never went to public school. I mean, we did a lot of social things, like we went to co-op and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Um, but I guess what I see moms putting on them the most is just like that pressure of making your homeschool look like your typical public school classroom. And so I would
Right,
just say, let go of that expectation because it's not going to look like that at
right.
all. And and that's okay. And just take the pressure off. Like, especially during those younger years, like really just focus on the basics, like reading and writing and math, and then everything else just, read to them, involve them in the things that you're doing because they're learning so much more from that than when you involve them in your cooking and in your gardening and whatever else it is that you're doing. I mean, even
Yeah.
like having a YouTube channel, like my kids like think that's super interesting and fun, and they've learned stuff about that, like how to make videos and anything like that.
Yeah, that's great. My girls have started a YouTube channel themselves. They
That's
love
awesome.
baking, and their videos are really short. They're only like, I don't know, 2 minutes, but everything that they bake, they make it into a video, and they're really excited about it. And I
I love
like that. I like seeing them learn
Yeah,
those skills and learning how to edit and, put things together
yeah,
um
yeah.
and I think the most exciting thing is just seeing them excited about what they're doing and seeing how much they enjoy it and watching them develop in certain areas.
Yeah, like I said, that's what's so great about it is it really gives you an opportunity to let them like pursue those interests that they have. So yeah, I think that's awesome.
Right, right. So you mentioned that you are homesteaders and that's a big part of your life. Can you tell us how your kids are involved in that and how that's a part of your homeschool?
Um, I would say that as far as it being involved with homeschooling, like it just really gives them an opportunity to learn a lot of life skills, because there are a lot of life skills connected with homesteading, taking care of animals and cooking and gardening and things like that. I really like that it teaches them compassion and appreciation, like for animals and for the land. And also, like, it gives them the opportunity to see those kinds of things, like live out their purpose in real time, as opposed to just reading about it in a book.
Right.
Um, so, yeah. And then also, I feel like homesteading, we were talking earlier about like the blood and guts part of it. And like, I mean, there's hard things, like there's some really hard things
Yeah.
involved in it. There's death and there's sickness, and you get attached to things and they have to go. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel like that's been really healthy for them. So I think that more than anything else, homesteading has grown my kids' character, which I think is one of the most valuable things that they could gain. So I
Mm-hmm.
guess I feel like that's how it affects homeschool the most.
Yeah. We have a few animals on our property, and mostly in the summer. We only have laying hens in the winter. But in the summer we have meat, we have broiler hens, and then we also have some pigs. And just the regular responsibility of realizing that they need care, twice a day, they have to go out and feed them. If it's too hot and they don't have water, they could die. And this is how we're
Right.
feeding our family all year. We live off of this meat for the year. And so I think it's helpful for them to realize just the daily care, but also to see how crucial they are to contributing to the needs of the family. It's been
Yes.
really, really great for that.
Yes, it really teaches that responsibility as well in a
It
way that
does.
a lot of other things can't.
Right. Yeah. So what would you say in homeschooling has been your biggest challenge?
Um, that was kind of a hard one, but I thought of two things. I think one that a lot of people deal with is like having a strong-willed child, or one that doesn't really respond, or one that's just like really active and doesn't really respond to just like reading a textbook to them
Yeah.
and answering questions. My second child is like that. He's somewhat strong-willed and he's very active, and so it can be challenging to like adjust to his learning style sometimes. So he's really taught me to let go of those expectations as to, like we talked about earlier, like how things should look, and really stretched me in terms of teaching things in a different way and allowing him to be more hands-on, and just kind of going at his own pace. So again, I guess how I've overcome it is just basically tell myself, like, let go of my expectations of
Yeah.
how things should go.
Right, right.
And
Yeah,
then
and
also adjusting. Sorry, go ahead.
they're each so different. I mean, I feel like you get one
Yeah.
child figured out and then the next one is so different, and
Yeah.
it's like you start from scratch again because you just aren't sure what their learning style is, and what their interests are. And so it's always, and I think it helps to listen to them, because that's where you find out what they're struggling with, and also whenever I'm trying to find out what my kids are interested in, I realize if I just listen to them, because they'll ask over and over about different things. And then, after you listen for a while, you can start to realize it's going in a certain direction, or in a certain area.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah. And the other thing is like adjusting to having so many kids. Like that was really a struggle. I mean, every time you have another child come up into school age, like it's just a big adjustment. And
It is.
having four, I mean, you have way more than me, so this is like nothing to you, but I have four, and adjusting to four has been really challenging. One of them is a
Yeah.
toddler right now, and the others are in school, they're school age. But again, it's just letting go of those expectations and being flexible as far as scheduling, and being willing to put things away for a little while and come back to them, and not try to fit into that public school classroom mentality, I guess.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that is one thing that I have noticed with, especially with having babies and toddlers, is that you can't always plan on how it's going to be. You know,
Mhm.
there's a home has distractions and it's not sterile. It's not four walls with the doors closed, you know, and we get everything done until the bell rings. I mean, it's just there's interruptions, you know, and that's part of life and part of learning.
Mhm.
But yeah, adding more, it's just you're always adjusting to that new child, and it's a life adjustment, you know, as well. Just
Yeah.
accepting how this is going to fit, and
Yeah.
I'm curious what it's like raising all boys, having all boys. We have 5 boys, but the youngest
Oh,
one is an
wow.
infant. Um,
Okay.
yeah, and it's exciting.
Boys are they're their own, they're boys.
Yeah.
I I don't know it any other way. So
Yeah.
that's just what I know. But I love having my boys. They're very sweet, and even though they're all boys, they're all so different. Like they have such different personalities and
Mhm.
different fun things about them that I enjoy. And they are a little bit rowdy sometimes and can stretch me mentally in that way.
And that's
um,
normal. It's normal
yeah,
for boys to be that way. But
yeah,
yeah, it can be exhausting.
yeah. But I really do just try to lean into that and let them express themselves in that way. When they
Yeah.
need to, and know. I guess it's a lot of breaks, like during school time, like taking a
Oh,
lot of
yes.
little breaks and letting them get that energy out, and yeah.
Right.
So, but
Yeah.
it's good. It's great. I love it.
Yeah. I do feel bad. Sometimes we have some neighborhood boys and they're in school all day.
Mm,
They
yeah.
come home and then they have to stay in and do homework. And it's so
Yeah.
nice out. You just think this is,
I tell my boys about that all the time. Like I remind them all the time,
yes.
like we'll see the bus go by and I'll be like, okay, so all the other kids your age are just now like getting home, and they're
Right.
always just like, they're just now, like they've been gone all day. I'm like, yeah, they've been sitting most of the day, and you've already like, you know, I don't know, played Nerf guns and like ran around with the dog and rode your
Yeah.
bike and like all this
Right.
stuff. So yeah,
Yeah. It is so nice for them to be able to move and go outside and take breaks. It's great for
yeah,
boys.
yes.
So, what are some of your favorite homeschool resources? What do you guys use the most?
Um, the last couple of years, we have been using Gather Round
Oh, okay.
Homeschool as our curriculum.
Hmm.
And I do really like that, especially for the ages that I have right now. I think once they get older, like we're definitely going to have to move to something else,
Hmm.
probably. But it's really great for the elementary ages. And I have a lot in the elementary ages right now.
Hmm.
So yeah, I really like that curriculum. Um, Other than that, I really like, if if you do any kind of like screen time or like online work, I
Hmm.
really like reading eggs.
Okay.
My boys, like pretty much all of my boys have learned to read via that app. I mean, we've done other things as well, but
Oh, is that an app? I
um
was going to say I'm not familiar
yeah,
with that. And usually I
yeah,
feel like
it's
I've
an it's
become familiar with a lot of curriculums, but I haven't heard of that. So that's an app.
yeah, well, you can do it on the computer too. Like you can do it online. It's
Okay.
readingeggs.com.
Okay.
And yeah, it's really, I think it's for like ages 3 to 7 is the reading eggs portion of it. And it really just teaches them those phonics skills and then like slowly putting them together. So they've really enjoyed that and they've learned a lot from it. So those are probably those are the two things that we use a whole lot and that have really made a big difference, I feel like,
Yeah.
as far as like curriculums. But honestly, I've I used to be like more of a curriculum junkie, and I've like really moved away from that. Like the way that like my homeschool looks now versus 3 years ago is pretty, or even, yeah, 3 years ago is pretty drastically different because I've realized that they can and do learn so much just by like participating with us in our daily
Yes.
life things. And yeah, so I'm really not a huge curriculum person now, which
Yeah.
I used to be, but
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean because I was similar when I started out. I was way more academic, having come from a public education background. And just the more we homeschooled, the more I saw exactly what you're talking about, that our life had so much learning happening.
mhm,
Just even playing, like when they have a break, they'll play games at the table. And
yes,
my
yeah,
daughter, I mean, she has had math lessons, obviously we do math every day. And, but I feel like she learned better about adding and subtracting from playing these
yeah,
card games than she did
yeah,
from her math book.
yeah,
And
totally.
so many things are like that. And,
Yeah,
so I can really relate to what you're saying. Just so many
yeah,
life skills that they're able to do,
yeah,
from things that happen normally in a house
yeah,
every day.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
My kids love cooking and baking, and so they've learned like that's taught them how to read. That's taught them reading, has taught them fractions, taught them math, like things that and they're actually like doing something. So
Yeah.
that's really a huge way that they're learning.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. I really enjoyed getting to know you better and hearing
Yeah,
about your homeschool life, and thanks a lot.
yeah, no problem. Thanks again. It was fun.
I hope you enjoyed this interview with Tiffany. Again, you can find her on her blog at growingdawn.com. See you next week. Have a great day.